Test 1, 2. Okay.
Test. Is it working? Is it working? Okay.
Let's see. Get a little closer to. Okay.
Hello?
Like there. Try now.
Is it good? I turned it on. So.
Is it good? I'm going to raise you up a little bit.
Okay.
How is the battery?
How do I check?
You should be enough for tonight, and we'll put in new ones for tomorrow. He's going to be lighting the candles as you guys are singing. Yeah, I haven't. So he's going to light the candles as you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Right before that, I'm going to start right here. So.
Okay, before we sing Amy?
Yep.
Okay, good. That's what I needed to know.
And we are 5 minutes away. And
Check. most people don't know where the prayer books are. So if you might mention that, that's usually like something I would do.
Check, 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 check.
Yeah.
Is it working? Can you hear it? Okay.
Is it on? Mm-hmm. Okay, listen. Come here. Hold my hands. You're gonna talk
Should I, Rabbi, should I just say it or come now?
Let's put it real quick. Put it to 120 and perfect. Have it right there. And let it go. Friends, Shabbat Shalom and good evening. Rabbi Akiva was illiterate until at age 40, sitting by a brook, he noticed a steady trickle of water hitting a rock. It was only a drip, but it was constant. And Akiva realized that a hole had been carved out of the had been carved out of the rock by this trickle of water. He then thought, if something as soft as water can carve a hole in solid rock, how much more so can words of Torah which is hard as iron, make an indelible impression upon the heart. Almost 2,000 years later, Pinchas Gutter, a Holocaust survivor, framed the reason for tonight's annual synagogue observance of Yom HaShoah, of Holocaust Remembrance Day. He said, "I tell my story for the purpose of improving humanity, drop by drop. Like a drop of water falls on a stone and erodes it, so hopefully, by telling my story over and over again, I will achieve the purpose of making the world a better place to live in," end quote. That task is ours, as we must continue to retell and relate the history of how the Germans and their accomplices shot, gassed, and starved 6 million innocents, how the Germans and their accomplices enslaved and stole and brutalized and used Jews for cruel medical experiments. Several years back, Israel's Knesset fixed the 27th of Nisan, this coming Wednesday night, as Yom HaShoah, a memorial day, for those slaughtered by the Nazis during World War II. Tonight we remember the victims. Tonight we affirm that those who lie in nameless graves and those who were turned into ashes and wisps of smoke shall never be forgotten. In remembrance, Eric, this Shabbat's bar mitzvah, and thus a symbol of ongoing memory and determination to both promote Torah and to make the world a better place in which to live, will light our 6 memorial candles. Eli Eli will be found on page 653, and our prayer books will be found underneath the seat in front of you.
Thank you.
And we now formally welcome Shabbat. We turn to page 120. We invite forward Eric's mom, Bonnie Greenberg, who leads us this evening in Hadlakat Hanerot, kindling the prayers of the lights of Shabbat, page 120.
Please join with me.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Lehadlikner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. We turn to page 138 for Lechadodi. We will be singing the first and the second on page 138, and then the ninth verse on page 139 of Lechadodi.
Lechadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shemo tiferet v'litila Lechadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela Lechadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela Likrat Shabbat lechuvanelcha Ki mikor habracha Berosh mikedem nesucha Sos ma'aseh b'machshava tehila Lechadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela Lechadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'tzola Tov emunei am segula Boi chala Lechadodi
turn to page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Eric leads us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkada v'yitkada Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, vimeru, amen. Yehesh me rabba mevorach, le'olam u'le'omaya, yitbarach. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, shemei dekudasha, brichu, leila min kol chata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, Vimeru, Amen. Please rise.
Page 146.
Barechu et Adonai HaMevorah.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam vayim.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam vayed.
Our service now continues on page 148. Eric is our reader.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai
Hamariv Avravim.
We read together with Eric on page 150. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vayed.
Please be seated.
We now turn to page 154 as Eric leads us in the Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'otecha ve'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom
tam levanecha, v'divartam paham, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlektecha v'derech, u'shochbecha uvekumecha, u'kshartam lehot al yodecha, v'hayu letotavot b'neinecha, u'chtavtam al mizuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, L'man tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Emet. We turn to page 157. Eric is our reader.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi Chamocha will be found on page 158.
Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh. No ratahilot osef eleh, no ratahilot osef eleh. Malechutecha rahu v'necha, bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe, zelianu ve'hameru. Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed.
Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Bochat Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Our service continues at the top of page 160. Givenu Adonai Eloheinu Yishalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
This Shamru will be found on the top of page 162.
Please rise.
Our service continues, page 164, with the tefillah. We'll be chanting the prayers on the right-hand pages, on the even-numbered pages, beginning on page 164, continuing to page 170.
Adonai sifatativta ufia ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdevot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Lifnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atavra V'Hoshia, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'Rachmut. rachamim rabim, somek noflim ve'rofei holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha bakivurot, umido melech, melech memit umechaye, umazmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emana lehayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated.
We turn to page 173. Eric is our reader.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. The terrorists in Sri Lanka seeking to murder Christians on Easter also killed 2 British American Jewish teenagers active in the Westminster Synagogue in London, where their father is president. They were among the 321 persons murdered, a reflection of how the circle of people touched by such senseless violence invariably extends beyond the victims and their families. In the aftermath of the attack, our friend Imam Ghazi wrote this week that the best response to violence and hatred is a spirit of unity. Likewise determined to do our part to promote peace and wholeness as central to our religious identity, we pray for peace tonight. We sing Shalom Rav, page 178.
Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon L'kol hashalom, ki atahu melech adon, l'kol hashalom. Shalom rav Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rav Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
We pause for silent meditation.
Page 180.
Shalom, 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 aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'inu, amen. Shalom, shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'inu, amen. We are saying shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom, bimromav, say shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'inu, amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael, amen. The countdown has begun. In the ritual of counting the Omer, the Torah has us count the 50 days between Passover and Shavuot. Each year, we remember a journey that begins with freedom and culminates in understanding and obligation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who makes us holy through commandments, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom Shiva Yamim Shehem Shavua Echad LaOmer. Today is 7 days, which are 1 week of the Omer. And each Shabbat, we pray on behalf of dear ones within and beyond our congregational family. We articulate the hope that they might know comfort and support. I invite you now to raise your hand, and after I silently acknowledge you, speak the names of those persons not on our prayer list for whom likewise we should pray this Shabbat.
Neil Jensen, Dan Gallup, Gordon Tick. Arnold Berger, and Leonard Seaman. Phyllis Brooke. Lisa Blitzer. Howie Shapiro. Barry King.
And we add to our list Sarah Feynman, page 371. 371. refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Auschwitz. Not long ago, not far away. That's the message of the new exhibit at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust in Battery Park in Manhattan. Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away. The title is powerful and provocative. It runs counter to the desire to look away or to comfort ourselves that such searing cruelty and brutality could never happen here or now. There's a desire to contextualize the Shoah as part of some distant past, engulfing people very different from us. To be sure, history and culture are nuanced. It's wrong to label every would-be dictator or authoritarian Hitler. But Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away, bespeaks a hard truth. We still live closely in its aftermath. So too the Holocaust, a singular event in history, cruelty and evil on an incomprehensible scale, occurred not in some remote place, but in the heart of Europe, one of the centers of civilization. Nor is the Shoah ancient history. It was one of the most critical occurrences within the living memory of some of us and within the extended memory of all of us. We thus have a special obligation to remember Auschwitz and the Holocaust in all its horror. The cattle cars and selections, the electrified fences and starvation, the human branding and slave labor, the gas chambers and crematoria, the shootings and nameless graves. At some of the other camps, often but the size of a parking lot, 1.5 million Jews died. And the likelihood of immediately being murdered was over 99%. Nor did Jews not transported to factories of death fare any better. The Holocaust by bullets, by the German army in occupied Soviet lands, massacred 1.5 million Jews. A sobering, important new book by Father Patrick Dubois, In Broad Daylight, The Secret Procedures Behind the Holocaust by Bullets, documents the chilling, evil mechanics and terrible brutality as Jews fought all the way to their deaths. The Holocaust has often engendered a willed forgetfulness. Many in Nazi-occupied Europe claimed not to know the truth. And the major killing centers like Auschwitz were placed close but away from the general population. Still, one literally could not go anywhere in Nazi-occupied Europe without running into places of persecution and death. Beyond the major camps and massacres, researchers have identified over 42,000 subcamps. Wherever the Nazis went, they and their accomplices abducted, tortured, and murdered with extraordinary mission, sadism, organization, and comprehensiveness. Of course, Jews were not the only victims, but each person with a modicum of Jewish ancestry was deemed subhuman and a target for the utmost cruelty. In this fashion, 6 million perished. As this was occurring, few were willing to stand up to the Nazis, and many refused to grasp or act upon the fullness of the calamity. There were notable exceptions: righteous Gentiles who directly sought to rescue Jews. Trees were planted at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem for each and every documented righteous Gentile. And efforts taken by some officials, including in our American government, like the Rescue Board, run through the Treasury Department. Still, others saw Jews as expendable. And from Charles Lindbergh to Neville Chamberlain to Marshal Pétain, Hitler's allies or appeasers in every Western nation stood ready to make friends with him. The moral callousness was captured in a political cartoon from 1940 I recently saw at the U.S. Holocaust Museum in Washington. Drawn by Dr. Seuss, that is Theodore Geisel, the scene features a mother reading to her terrified children a storybook entitled Adolf the Wolf. In the caption, the nonplussed mother explains, and the wolf chewed up the children and spit out their bones. But those were foreign children, and it really didn't matter. Such attitudes led directly to Auschwitz. The Auschwitz-Birkenau camps, about 40 miles west of Krakow, Poland, comprise just over 15 square miles. Between 1940 and 1945, 1.3 million people were deported there, and 1.1 million of those were murdered there. Around 1 million of the murdered were Jews, along with nearly 75,000 Poles, 21,000 Sinti and Roma, 14,000 Soviet prisoners of war, and nearly 15,000 others whom the Nazis deemed inferior or undesirable, including those who were allegedly homosexual, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the people Nazis called criminals. By the spring of 1944, more than 10,000 people a day were murdered. Children, women, and men, very much like us, and in some cases close or distant family members, perished in the frenzy of barbaric cruelty before, at last, the Allies defeated Germany. Still, part of our collective consciousness 7 decades later, we remain determined that the Holocaust neither be denied nor trivialized. Protecting historical memory, we remain on guard as we determine to block facile metaphors. We must not label every type of bigot or misanthrope a Nazi, even as we explain where prejudice and inhumanity can lead. Nor can we accept imprecise comparisons, as this week bills were formally introduced in Alabama's State House and Senate that compared the Holocaust to abortion. So too, we must stand ready to condemn any belittling of the Shoah. The growth of the internet and the growing popularity of nativism throughout the world has done much to spread renewed anti-Semitism. By every measure, it's increasing at an alarming rate. The coarsening of discourse, including in our own nation, is likewise most troubling. How else to explain how earlier this month, a chemistry professor at Middlebury College in Vermont wrote a test question asking his students to calculate the lethal dose of poison gas needed to murder victims given the size and temperature of the area? The professor's question is an obscenity, as it trivializes the memory of the victims. I suspect he deemed the Holocaust too long ago or far away to matter. After an uproar, the professor is now on leave. Assuredly, we must be resolute in guarding the memory of the Holocaust and ensuring never again. Epitaph number 13, a poem written by Abraham Stutzkever, who survived the Holocaust. This poem explains, and I quote, "In a chamber in Majdanek, where my breed was gassed, an Amsterdam Bible lies untouched by gas. And I, the mourner, singing in the language of the burnt, caress and open up the Bible I once learnt. Gray and dusty pages come to life in hand, and on one a will and testament in a margin finely penned. Dearest brother, take this book. This is all of me. You who are free must carry it on for eternity." Friends, remembrance of the Holocaust is now part of the Torah, part of the book we carry. Our annual Yom HaShoah and Kristallnacht observances, the Federation's annual Yom HaShoah commemoration coming up on Tuesday, the curriculum in our religious school, and efforts to introduce our students to Holocaust survivors or their children, along with our work with the ADL and others to fight prejudice and promote remembrance of the Shoah throughout the larger community, these all bespeak part of the very mission of our synagogue. We will pass the book, grasping the abyss into which humanity can fall. We will safeguard the history and memory of individuals murdered one by one by one. By studying details and preserving memory, even at this late date, may we do our part, lest anyone, be they near or far, ever again know such wickedness. Ken Yehi Ratzon, be this God's will. Our service now continues on page 586 with the Elenu. Those who are able, we invite you to rise, and we invite forward Eric's dad, Adam, who opens our ark for the Elenu. Page 586, the Elenu that we chant is the second paragraph down on the page.
Aleinu l'shabeach lahadon hakol, latet gedula liotze breshit, shelo asanu kegei havratzot, velo samanu kimish bechot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, Vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'hanaknu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamalchim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Please be seated. Page 591.
V'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad.
Page 598. We now call to mind our own beloved dead. I ask that those in mourning or remembering the anniversary of the death of a loved one and who have trekked to the sanctuary during Shiva or Shloshim or for Yartzeit, should you be able, please rise when their name is mentioned. During Shiva, we remember Marge Menaker. During Shloshim, Andrew Rubinowitz, stepfather of Shari Abelson, in-law of Ken Whitmire, and grandfather of Matthew and Ben. This Shabbat, we remember the Yartzeits, the anniversaries of the deaths of Martin Bodian, Abram Bress, Bernard Feynman, Julius Fuhr, Abe Geller, Renee Goldman, Peter Hall, Harry P. Horn, Adeline Isaac, Herman Lester, Francis Lieber, Judy Marangio, Minnie Rich Myers, Ann Obles, Toby Perlman, H. Walter Pye, Wallace Rifkin, David Rubin, Stephen Scharf, Lillian C. Spire, Morris Spurt, Ben Theodore, David R. Trarig, Ethel Weiss, and Samuel R. Zetzer. If there are additional names to mention for Kaddish this Shabbat, please feel free to rise and say their names now. A practice within our congregation is to further consider these people. If you are comfortable so doing, we now invite you to share with this minyan a brief reflection or reference about a dear one on our Kaddish list. We also recall the victims of terror in Sri Lanka. And each Shabbat, we also mention 6 names amongst the 6 million murdered in the Holocaust, the Shoah. And we now remember Lev Kosiborod, Rizia Berenstein, Pesia Berenbaum, Melach Feldman, Herschel Schenkerman, and Yasha Schenkerman. In remembrance and solidarity, and on behalf of those for whom there is no one but us to say Kaddish, we now invite all present to rise, if you are able, our Kaddish prayer, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. B'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute. B'chaye chon v'yomeh chon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman karivru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mubarach le'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Zukran l'vracha. May their memories be for blessing. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Page 626 for Ein Kelohim.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kamoshienu, No Del Eloheinu, No Del Adonenu, No Del Malkeinu, No Del Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Lisa?
Oh, okay.
Shabbat Shalom!
Shabbat Shalom.
What an exciting weekend for Eric. You did beautifully tonight, which portends well for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you to our service leaders and to our beautiful Michaela. Mazel tov to the Greenberg family. Do we have any good news, birthdays, or anniversaries this week? Stephen. Nice. Mazel tov. How wonderful. Yes, Bonnie.
Well, my birthday was last week, and my birthday is
Wow, double happy. Wonderful, wonderful. Anyone else? So, tomorrow's sort of a special day for somebody. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. will be the bar mitzvah of Eric Greenberg. On Sunday, April 28th, religious school starts at 9:30. In addition, at 9:30, there's an introduction to Judaism with Rabbi Eric. Monday, April 29th at 7 p.m., a priest, a rabbi, and an imam, part 3. Join them at the Albanian Mosque as they discuss The Other Joseph, 38 Raymond Street in Waterbury. For cultural sensitivity, women, please consider a scarf or head covering, and guys, Rabbi is wearing his kippah. Also remember that we'll be removing shoes in the prayer room. Finally, we encourage carpooling. I hear that parking around there is tough. Highly recommended. What a wonderful series this has been. If you haven't had a chance yet, come, and I know that if you've gone, that you're going to be there again. Tuesday, April 30th at 11 a.m. is Rabbi's adult discussion. 4:15 is religious school. And at 4:30, the Federation will have a Yom HaShoah program. right here in our sanctuary, excuse me. At 6 p.m., Sisterhood Torah chanting class, part 2 of 4, led by our Susan Pinsky-Bleeks. Friday, May 3rd, 7:30 p.m., Erev Shabbat services, Yom Ha'atzmaut. That's how you spell it. I was trying to write it the other day, my goodness. Can you imagine? Yom Ha'atzmaut, observed. Birthday Shabbat, Rachel Rubel will be our service leader. And our upcoming events, Monday, May 6th, Sisterhood and the Federation's annual Cinco de Majan starts at 10 a.m. Please call the office or Michelle Rosen to RSVP. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by the Greenberg family in honor of this handsome guy, Eric, up here, becoming a bar mitzvah tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Eric leads us in Kiddush this evening. It's found on page 123, and we join together with Eric in Kiddush, which will be followed by Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidranu b'mitzvotav v'atzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehillah v'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim niranu v'ata v'tanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha pe'ahu uvratzon hinchanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat. Amen. Is this legal? Okay. I can't, my mouth, it's like paralyzed.
So Eric's going to do our Motzi. It's
Kind of.
the one which we serve to the teenagers. It's not-
Sour grapefruit juice.
But, so Eric, if you would do the honors of the Motzi, we join with you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motzi lechem min haaretz